It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. Well, it's happened again, this time in Hollywood. A neighborhood is dealing with the fact that there are squatters taking over a vacant building, causing all kinds of mayhem, starting fires, and the city seems to not be able to do a damn thing about it. Let's find out what's going on here with ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Some Hollywood residents say they're growing angry and terrified over fires in their neighborhood.
All the emotions at once.
Some Hollywood residents say they're growing angry and terrified over fires in their neighborhood.
Yeah, they say those fires keep breaking.
You know, something might have happened a few months ago that really has people thinking of just how devastating and dangerous fires can be in neighborhoods. I wonder what that was. Why people be so on edge about fire risk that seems to be preventable. Because, I don't know, people shouldn't be in the vacant.
Yeah, they say those fires keep breaking out at a vacant home. Those residents now turning to 7 on your side. Eyewitness News investigative reporter Kevin Ozebek here now to tell us what is happening with these, well, really this troubled property, Kevin.
Yeah, well, Mark and Giovanna, it was just last week that 7 on your side investigates started reporting on the surge of homeless fires that are keeping LA's firefighters very busy.
I love that statistic. I love that more and more people are talking about it because it's something that's been well known for quite some time. In fact, the former fire chief, Kristen Crowley, said it was half of all fires. The new interim fire chief, appointed by Karen Bass, says it's a third of all fires. But regardless, whether it's 33%, whether it's 50%, those are all preventable. That is a massive risk, a massive fire danger, and one of the contributing things to why we're so uninsurable. Because if you have an unpredictable element that could start fires at any time, there's not a lot of certainty.
LAFD data shows every single day there's an average of 35 fires connected to a person experiencing homelessness.
At that point, do we have to use that phraseology? Person experiencing homelessness? What is it about homelessness that makes people want to constantly start fires? It's not like it's freezing cold here. So don't tell me that they're trying to keep warm, which is funny because you remember the last time there was a fire in the Palisades and the guy that they caught, it was a homeless arsonist. This is about 3 years ago. George Gascon went on television on ABC 7 and said, "How dare you call him homeless?" And he was probably just trying to keep warm. Turns out it was arson, but sure. It doesn't matter what the reason is for. There is no good reason to start uncontrollable fires. Again, these aren't 35 fires that are just started. These are 35 fires that are completely out of control where they have to call the fire department. Every single day, 35 fires. We better as hell fund our LAFD. But we could really ease up all the pressure that's on our firefighters if we got these people off the street in any way possible. And if they're committing any criminal activity in those encampments, I have no problem with sending them back to jail or sending them back to prison. For all of the people who want to cry and cry about how awful Men's Central Jail is, where a lot of these people were before we emptied out the jails, it's better than being on the street, and at least when you're locked up in a cell, you can't start fires and burn down the rest of us.
And behind this stat, there are some Angelenos who are growing very angry.
We never know when is going to be the day that it's going to light our roof on fire.
That's not a way to live, especially when you're living in a place like Hollywood and your mortgage is very, very, very expensive.
Jean Rice says this property next door is fueling her fear of fires. And
now there is some solid alliteration, everybody.
Fueling her fear of fires.
Good job.
And that's because 2 weeks ago, this was the view from her apartment.
It's terrifying. You could actually feel the heat in the windows, and I felt like the windows were going to combust.
It was so intense that my face was burning on the porch.
Holy cow.
Devora Lillian is livid too.
We just had to be evacuated.
She, Jean, and a whole host of neighbors are getting together, all because of this vacant building on North Wilton Place in Hollywood.
Here we go.
It's the vacants. It's always the vacants. Every time I hear the word vacant buildings, I just think of season 4 of The Wire, and I won't tell you what happens in the vacants, but it's not good.
Here we go. Again.
On April 17th, a fire erupted here again. LAF.
You would think that people who squat, who take over a vacant property, would try to keep to themselves and try to create as little commotion as possible. But that's not what happens when you're feral. When you're feral, you start fires even in the vacant.
LAFD records obtained by 7 on Your Side Investigate show this is now the 6th fire on this property since August of last year.
Was life simpler when meth was illegal? Yes. Yes, it was. Was life simpler when anybody who had meth on their possession would be thrown in prison? Yes. Yes, it was. And you know what? A lot of those people got the help they needed. No, we're letting everyone roam the streets, starting fires left and right because meth equals fire.
This last one caused a neighboring senior living facility.
Can't blame it on the fentanyl people. They fold right over. But the methers, they start lots of fires. Plus, they have to light the meth on fire. It's a whole thing.
This last one caused a neighboring senior living facility to be evacuated.
Think of, when you talk about how broke the city of Los Angeles is, how much money had to be spent on just this one event, on this one fire started by homeless people who took over a vacant building, evacuating a senior center, evacuating other homes, damage to other buildings. How much destruction one of these fires caused, and there's 35 of them a day in the city of Los Angeles.
The smoke was so thick. People were coughing. It was terrible.
It's just too dangerous.
This vacant property may be labeled unsafe by the city, but neighbors...
Shouldn't it already be labeled unsafe? It was on fire.
This vacant property may be labeled unsafe by the city, but neighbors say it's a hub of activity. They say they even see people living at this rundown home.
It's a village. There's a village that lives here.
How does the word get out about this? Is there a group forum where the homeless all talk to each other and figure out where the vacant is and that they can take it over? We do know that there were threads on social media about all the vacants where the graffiti was happening. And we know of that one vacant, and this is true. Somebody found a mansion in one of the neighborhoods in the hills. Vacant building, been sitting there. It was one of those that was like owned by the son of the owner of the Philadelphia Phillies or something. There are some people that have way too much damn money and are just sitting on property and they don't care what happens to it, which is a whole other issue for a whole other day. But somebody took over the property, said that they were a landlord, and then started writing leases to OnlyFans models to film and produce their OnlyFans porn content inside the vacant. It's a wild time to be alive, kids.
Even though this brand new fence is up, if you really wanted to get onto this property, it doesn't look like it would be that hard. In fact, it looks like you could easily just slip right through that fence.
ABC 7 showing you how easy it is to get through security.
The owner of this property would...
Okay, this is what I'm interested in. I've heard this story. We know that this building is abandoned. It's vacant, but somebody owns it. It's not city property. So what exactly is the owner's responsibility here? What is he doing about this? The fact that people are going into his property that he owns and lighting things on fire.
The owner of this property would not talk to 7 on Your Side Investigates on camera.
Oh, why not?
However, he told us over the phone he's frustrated too that chains and boards aren't keeping people out.
Well, there's determination on the other side. Good luck with that. We also seem to not be able to do anything about trespassing anymore.
However, he told us over the phone he's frustrated too that chains and boards aren't keeping people out. He says he has wanted to demo this building, but blamed what he called bottlenecks with getting a demo permit from the city.
Somehow I knew we were going to end up here. So let's get the story straight so far. The owner of this building has been wanting to demolish it. It's vacant. It's abandoned. He's obviously not looking to habitate in it or rent it out because he wants to demolish it. The city is so slow in approving a permit for him to demolish the property that's on his land that now it's been taken over by squatters. And he probably won't even be able to get that demo permit now because, well, they have rights. The squatters' rights in this state are insane. The fact that you can rent an Airbnb for 30 days, all of a sudden say, now you have squatters' rights and you're not leaving, and it takes the landlord a year to get you out of there, tells you that the laws are very, very lopsided.
The LA Department of Building.
I mean, how many stories did we hear during the COVID days where people didn't pay rent because of the eviction moratoriums and then were subleasing the place that they refused to pay rent on and collecting rent? That happened quite a bit. Now, obviously, there are people that didn't do that, but the fact that we created loopholes to do that shows you that there's a problem.
The LA Department of Building and Safety says that demo application is still under review.
The city of Los Angeles, so unbelievably slow at everything. Great job.
But it did issue an abate order on this property and is working with the owner to try and bring the site into compliance.
Yeah, good luck with that. How exactly are you going to get the fire starters out of there?
It needs to be demolished.
We're literally living in a fire hazard.
Wanting action now, Jean says she's been pushing her District 13 council member's office for help.
Uh-oh. Okay, I don't know if you have your chart at home, but District 13, well, that's Hugo Soto Martinez.
Yeah, clap that up.
A man made famous on this radio station by this clip.
You know, let's criminalize catalytic converters. Let's criminalize copper.
I'm going to assume Hugo Soto Martinez is no help on this issue because Hugo Soto Martinez does not care about homeowners. In fact, he doesn't care about any homeowners because he doesn't believe in single-family homes. He thinks that they're racist. By the way, I found this out the other day thanks to our buddy DanielGust.substack.com. Hugo Soto Martinez makes $220,000 a year and is living in rent-controlled housing, keeping it out of somebody who needs it. Great job, Hugo. What you doing with your $220K?
Which hasn't been really responsive.
But 7 on Your Side Investigates did hear back from Councilmember Hugo Soto Martinez's office, which says, we're doing everything allowed under the law to hold the owner accountable.
The owner? The owner's trying to get the property demolished. What are you doing to kick out the squatters who keep starting fires and are destroying this neighborhood in Hollywood? Doesn't even care about that. People, elections have consequences. Mitch O'Farrell wasn't great, but Mitch O'Farrell at least had the common sense to clear out the homeless encampment in Echo Park. And somehow he got punished for that and lost his gig to this guy, one of the worst members of the LA City Council. He's up for re-election in 2026. If you live in Hollywood, if you live in Echo Park, if you live in Silver Lake, if you live in Hugo Soto Martinez's district, who's going to run against him? It's time to start picking someone out right now. It's time to start organizing. This jackass does not have that much support. It's time to get rid of him.
Which says, we're doing everything allowed under the law to hold the owner accountable. And our office is coordinating with the Department of Building and Safety to begin the formal process of declaring this property as a public nuisance.
This city does not act with urgency on anything. Even when they have an urgency clause or a state of emergency, there's no urgency.
These neighbors think that's too little, too late.
Shame on you.
Oh, I like that.
Shame on you. Shame on the city.
Yes. Shame on you, Hugo, and shame on you, Los Angeles. Again, to recap, the owner of the abandoned vacant property has had a permit that's in process to demolish the building. The city is still in review. In the meantime, the homeless have taken over and started a bunch of fires, and they want to make sure they hold the owner accountable, not the homeless starting fires because, well, those are our poorest residents. We can't do anything to them.
You would think with all of the things that have been going on at this property over the last year that it would have been declared.
This isn't new. This has been going on for over a year, as we found out with that RV encampment in the City of Industry. That went on for over a year before someone talked to the news. I will give this advice every chance I get. If you are trying to work with the city or the county of Los Angeles, if you have a problem and the city and county of Los Angeles are not coming through for you, are not being responsive, your last recourse isn't calling the local news. It's your first recourse, because the only way to get the city to move sometimes is to publicly shame them on television.
You would think with all of the things that have been going on at this property over the last year that it would have been declared a public nuisance a long time ago. This is destroying good neighborhoods.
Now, if a board made up of building and safety commissioners declare that property to be a nuisance, the city can then put a lien on that property and secure that property instead of the owner doing it.
Yeah, but how do you get the squatters out of there?
District 13 says this case should go in front of that board in May.
Acting with all the urgency in the world.
LAFD tells us its firefighters were not able to determine a cause of that latest fire on that property. Their fire report mentions residents complaining of somebody living on that property and setting fires. However, that person was not spotted by firefighters. Live in the studio, Kevin Ozebek, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
You can definitely understand the frustration.
Oh, 100%. And it just seems like there's so much red tape when you just want something done.
So the neighbors need a solution here, because they're afraid of their houses catching fire and having to be evacuated, like already happened last week. And they tried to go through the proper channels. The city is no help. The city is taking forever to approve the demo. The city wants to maybe hold a meeting in front of a board next month to declare this property a nuisance, and then maybe they can fine the owner for securing the building. But that's not getting the squatters out, and every single day that they're there, they have another chance to start a bunch of fires. So this is where I need you to get a little creative out there, because these neighbors have gone through the proper channels. They did everything they were supposed to do, and it didn't help them. If this was you, and this was your neighborhood, and there was an abandoned vacant building in your neighborhood full of squatters starting fires, and the city will not or cannot get them out of there, do you have a more creative solution? Might not be exactly above board. Maybe it's a little extracurricular when it comes to legality. Doesn't matter. We need a solution here. How would you get these squatters out of this building? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. If you had a bunch of squatters taking over a building in your neighborhood and doing God knows what among starting fires, and the city was non-responsive, what would you do to get them out of there? How would you kick out these squatters? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. If you've got an idea how to get these jackasses out of this building, give me a call. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Get on the line right now. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. In Hollywood, a bunch of squatters took over a vacant home and started a bunch of fires that have had to evacuate the neighborhood several times. This has been going on for over a year. The owner of the building filed for a demolition permit, and the city hasn't moved on it. Now the city's going through a nuisance process to hold the owner accountable for the people that no one seems to be able to get out of this building. My question to you at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222 is this. If this was your neighborhood and you did everything you could do to go through the proper channels to try to get these squatters out of that building and protect your neighborhood, and it didn't work, you have a better solution, a more creative solution? If it's up to you, how do you get rid of these squatters in your neighborhood? It can be a legal solution. It can be a less than legal solution. All ideas are encouraged. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's start with Keith in Hollywood. Keith, hello.
Hello. Yeah, one creative way to do this, and it's been done here in Hollywood before, you can hire a private security company. They will come in, they will make a deal with the people to leave, and then if they don't, they will come in with large people and move them out, and they will be there 24/7. There is an expense to this. I know they did it at La Brea and Willoughby. There at the Sprouts, across the street, there was an encampment there for years. City would come and clear them out, and they would return like same day. And, that's one way to do it.
I think that's one way we could do it. We need a big guy named Tiny with a baseball bat to just stand out there and give him the right idea. Thanks so much for the call, Carl. Appreciate it. If this happened in your neighborhood, you had a home in your neighborhood taken over by squatters, they're starting fires, the city can't get them out of there, the owner can't get them out of there, what would you do? You got an idea on how to get these people out of that building? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. If you're on hold, stay on hold. We'll get to your calls next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com, and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. There is a home in the neighborhood of Hollywood that is vacant, that has been taken over by squatters. The squatters have started fires, which has led to evacuations from neighboring homes and a senior center in the neighborhood. The owner has been trying to get the building demolished, but the city's very slow with the permit process. The city can't apparently do anything to get the people out of there, or won't, because this is Hugo Soto Martinez's district. And they say, oh, we're going to file a nuisance property, and then we're going to secure the building and hold the owner accountable. Doesn't really have a response to hold the trespassers who started fires accountable. So here's what I want to know at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. If this was happening in your neighborhood and someone took over an empty home, started fires, all kinds of other riffraff, and the city was not able to help you, what would you do about it? If it's all up to you, how do you get these people out of there? I'm looking for legal solutions. I'm also looking for less than legal solutions. Let's get creative here, folks. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's start with Ed in Santa Clarita. Ed, hello.
Hello, Randy. I think I might have a solution for this. I'd like to know how this city official, this Hugo Soto guy, can qualify for a government-sponsored housing when he makes $220 unless he lied on the application.
Well, I think he lived in that housing before he got this $220,000 job and just hasn't left, which is pretty damn rude.
Well, he has to update his file and let the government know that he makes $220 and start the fraudulent living in that area. He's defrauding the government.
Yeah, you know, at this point, he's a squatter.
Yes, exactly.
I love it, Ed. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Hugo's got to go, and I'm going to make this pitch to you over and over and over again. It's time to start organizing in Hollywood and Echo Park and the other parts of Hugo's district. Somebody has the ability to run against this guy. Somebody can run on a common sense message, because Hugo is freaking crazy, and he's also been pretty damn terrible at his job. It's time to go, Hugo. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Let's go to George in Simi Valley. George, hello.
Hey, Randy. Thanks for having me on. This is a little bit like chemotherapy. We want to get rid of the cancer, but it could damage the patient. You have a fine collection of recordings of the mayor and people like Ulysses Hernandez and all these other harpies that just gush about the homeless and talk about how wonderful it is to be homeless, but they never do anything. Put those recordings on a loop, blast them from all sides into that house 24/7. And, even the homeless can't listen to that stuff.
So we do it Waco style. We put up a bunch of speakers and we blast this nonsense.
Landowners, just take one, just take two, and we'll work with you.
I think that's a great idea, George. We've got to use noise pollution to get these people out of there, drive them crazy.
And like I say, the problem is you could damage yourself doing that, but I think we're stronger than they are.
Maybe for just the surrounding houses, we provide everyone with earplugs so they don't have to hear it. Because you hear that much Karen Bass on a loop, it's not good for your health.
No!
Anyway, thank you.
Thanks so much for the call, George. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Your creative solutions, how we get these squatters out of this house in Hollywood, because the homeowners are left to fend for themselves after the feckless uselessness of Hugo Soto Martinez and the city of Los Angeles. Let's go to Scott in Hollywood. Scott, hello.
Randy, hi. Hey, so many good ideas. Keith's idea was great, and that last guy from Simi was really good. Yeah, like blast German polka music into the house. That'll drive them out of there. But, in terms of Hugo, the guy makes $250,000. Let's think about this. He makes $250,000 a year. He's the guy that's always talking about affordable housing. He makes $250,000 a year, no overhead, right? Car allowance, all the medical benefits, retirement package, not having to pay any employees. He pays for his meals, and you can tell he eats pretty well. But what I would do is, he has a dog. He lives by Barnesdale Park, and I would protest in front of his house. Yeah, it's illegal in front of a city council person's house, but why should civil disobedience only be allowed for the Marxists? Why can't the non-Marxists engage in civil disobedience and get away with it?
That would be a really interesting case study, because police weren't allowed to do a damn thing when you had groups like BLM protesting in front of Jackie Lacey's house in 2020 and freaking her out and freaking out her husband at 5 o'clock in the morning. Police couldn't do anything about that. There should be a way to organize and start disrupting Hugo's life the way he has disrupted the lives of so many people in Hollywood.
I agree. And, it's really a shame that the guy, apparently he's a University of California Irvine graduate in criminology, believe it or not. I don't know how the guy graduated from a university. He doesn't even speak the language properly. He refers to copper wire thieves as copper wire theft persons and can't master the word catalytic. I've heard him say catalytic so many times, I almost made the mistake of saying it that way. The guy.
Scott, I've done that too.
Got a low IQ, and I also want to say one more thing about Hugo. When he got elected, have you noticed so many unions have gone on strike since he got elected? I just get the feeling, because he was a union organizer and he was suspected of being behind those tapes, that broke in 2022, right before the mayoral election. But the guy's very connected. It's easy to underestimate him, but he is well connected. I'll let you get to some other caller.
Well, Scott, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. And yes, I'm going to keep playing this clip over and over and over again.
Let's criminalize catalytic converters. Let's criminalize copper.
That jackass makes $220,000 a year. We're going to take more of your phone calls on how you would get these squatters out of this home in Hollywood, because Hugo is freaking useless. 800-222-KABC. If you're on hold, stay on hold. We'll get to you next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Let's get back to the phones. How we're getting rid of this squatter house in Hollywood. Let's go to Ed in Woodland Hills. Ed, hello.
Well, hello, Randy. I haven't talked to you in a long time. I just got back from Catalina.
Oh, I'm jealous.
No, you don't have to be jealous. You have to come over. I gave you an invite. Why don't you come over?
Well, that means I have to get out of the house, but I will. At some point, I'll take you up on that.
All right. I sent you an email, the hiking trail and everything. But anyhow, long story short, I'm 6'4", 228 pounds. I got a rental in Northridge, Reseda, and Ford and Warner Center. Thank God, my blessings, I've never had a problem. But I think I'll just go in with muscle. And I got property out of state, but those are all under professional management. So I don't have to worry about those. Oklahoma and Florida, Neptune Beach, Florida. But, yeah, I think you got to use muscle. And there's an old saying, I don't know if you've ever heard of this. What do you tell a guy with two black eyes?
What's that?
Nothing. He's already been told twice.
Oh, that's an old one. I love it. Thanks so much for the call, Ed. Appreciate it. Usually, I've heard a version of that joke, but instead of guy, it uses a derogatory term, and it's something that you used to hear on 97.1. Oh, the good old days. Mike in Glendale. Mike, hello.
Yeah, hi, Randy. I would, along the lines of all your other callers, I would take it easy at first and throw some stink bombs in there and just go old high school with it and just annoy them. If that doesn't work, you get a couple friends with baseball bats, you go in there, you handle your business. If that doesn't work, it's all full of depleted humanity anyway. You light a match. They're going to demolish the building anyway, so you just take care of the problem for them.
You know, it's an interesting thought. They're already going to light the thing on fire. Maybe we do a controlled burn. Thanks so much for the call, Mike. Appreciate it. We here at 790 KABC don't advocate lighting anyone's house on fire, but we understand the passion. If you're on hold, stay on hold. More of your calls coming up next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's time for the lightning round. If I take you, we got about 40 seconds for each call. Let's go to Richard in Pasadena. Richard, hello.
I would get the Los Angeles County Board of Building and Safety, and I would get them to go in there because I'm sure the place is not habitable, and I'd get them to red tag it, because if they red tag it, they have to get people out of there. Otherwise, the city is liable because it's been red tagged and people are still in there and it's not a safe structure. And I think that would probably be a really good approach. And I have not heard that yet, but building and safety, like I said, if they declare that uninhabitable.
It's an interesting idea, Richard. Thanks for the call. But the problem is the city is going through that process now, and it's incredibly slow. They're not even going to have a meeting on this property until May. Unacceptable. Let's go to Rose in Marina. Rose, hello.
Randy, we had the same situation over here in Venice. Once Tracy Park realized what was going on, very similar situation. In one day, she closed that whole thing down. There were no hearings. There were no discussions. The people got together, called her office, and in one day, it was settled. This thing is all on Hugo Martinez, the hypocrite who's in a rent stabilization apartment and then sits his you-know-what down and votes on rent control issues. I mean, what
it's unbelievable.
Kind of conflict of interest do we have there?
A huge one. Rose, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. She's totally right. Elections matter, and Tracy Park got something done where Hugo's sitting on his butt. Let's go to Marilyn in L.A. Marilyn, hello.
Hey, heat deprivation is helpful. I duck out a window here and there and spray skunk spray. You can purchase that at a gun store, skunk spray, bear spray, something like that, and get a DJ out there playing the worst music at the loudest level of decibels he can play, 24/7. But that's
I
the
love
neat and
it.
easy way, I guess.
Those are some great ideas, Marilyn, especially the skunk spray. I know how bad that smells. Let's do it. Mike in L.A. Mike, hello.
It comes right to you. They deliver it to me.
Mike.
Sunset E13.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Let's go to Bill in La Cañada. Bill, hello.
Hey, Randy, I just heard that Karen Bass has a big cleanup program for the homeless encampments coming up real soon because of the Olympics. So why is it she can mobilize for something like that, but she can't get these turkeys out of there?
Because they only do what they want to do. If we can clean up a squatter place in Venice, but we can't clean it up in Hollywood, it has nothing to do with geography. It has to do with politicians that don't want to do a damn thing about it. Bill, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Always appreciate your creative solutions and ideas like this, because unfortunately, when government fails us, we're the ones that have to figure this out. Thank you all so much for listening to the show. If you ever miss an episode of the show, go to KABC.com/newsblitz. We'll see you tomorrow at 5 for another News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC.